Hey everybody, my name is Christian and welcome to Mind Over Mania, where we keep your head above the chaos. Today I am doing a pick a group reading, where you intuitively pick your reading. The reading will start off with a vibe check to make sure that it's the right reading for you, and then we'll go ahead and get your messages. Today's topic is It's a Mystery. We're not entirely sure what's going to come out of these readings. It was unprompted and unplanned to do this recording today, but I felt really called to do so. Today we are going to have 4 groups. The first group is going to be represented by this mossy agate rabbit. The second group is going to be represented by this pyrite crab. The third group is going to be represented by this obsidian crow. And the fourth group is going to be represented by this astrophyllite and garnet rabbit. It's a bit of a mouthful. So anyways, pause, take a deep breath, take a look at your options, and figure out which one you feel called to most, and I will see you at your reading. Hey everybody, welcome to Pile 1. You have chosen the mossy agate rabbit, and this is going to be your reading. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a vibe check to see if this is the right pile for you, Group 1, and if none of the messages resonate with you, then you can go ahead and maybe choose a different pile, or otherwise, maybe this isn't the right reading for you. But anyways, let's go ahead and pull some cards and figure out what's going on with you today. What messages does the universe have for you? Ooh, so somebody in this pile, right off the bat, I'm feeling you're having a hard time, Pile 1. Or you're going through some kind of a difficult time. Or maybe you just came out of it, but I'm really feeling you're still in the midst of some kind of a conflict. So right now, the cards that you got, we have the Angel Protector, and then we have the Performer. And so if you kind of look at this Performer card, we see a gentleman who is reading a script while in front of a crowd on stage. I think you can see the people there. And essentially, I feel like you're just going through the motions. This pile is definitely used to having to shut parts of themselves off, or you're trying to basically live a performance. You're trying to keep up appearances while you're going through the motions, as well as you're trying a little bit too hard to either be like a specific style of person, or it's a mishmash. Whatever the case is, you're having a hard time being your full authentic self, or not even just intentionally doing this. You're just trying to survive at the moment and just trying to keep going through the motions. Maybe I also feel keeping up appearances to your family might be important for some of you as well. With this Guardian Angel Protector, I feel like some of you guys are very, very spiritual. Maybe you are religious to a certain degree. Maybe angels are significant for you. So maybe, for example, you're not really into spirituality. However, you do have a strong relationship with Christianity or angelic type figures. Maybe you're familiar with the angelic realms. Whatever your alignment is, there definitely is a sense of peace and kind of inner knowing despite all of the things you're going through. You also may have a certain type of angelic quality to you. I feel some of you are either, I wouldn't say unconventionally attractive, but you have a way of bringing peace into people's lives. You may resonate with the term being a healer, or having a sort of quality about you that seems very ethereal. I'm also getting a vibe that you're very selective with your words, or you feel sometimes chosen, if that makes any sense. It's almost as though everything you do seems to be synchronous with some kind of bigger picture, or you have an inner sense of alarm when something's coming, or you're able to let go and release the traumas that normal people wouldn't be able to handle. You might consider yourself especially sensitive, as well as maybe trying to always be the good person, or trying to show other people that the world can be a good place as long as your heart is in the right step and as long as you're making the right decisions. my eye is getting drawn to the back of this card where there's these horses and flowers and a castle in the back. And I feel like some of you guys are trying to manifest a better life for yourself and also maybe for some other people around you. Maybe you enjoy going out in nature or you feel very connected to it. But this castle in the background, I'm specifically seeing the rainbow going to the castle. And I really feel like you're trying to figure out a way to live a spiritual, well-meaning life while still having the full human experience as well. So you've got the castle, the wealth, the money, the friends, the shining of the light from God on your situation, and being just overall having the best possible scenario you can. Especially if you're going through difficulty right now, I feel the ideal situation for you is to have that integration and inner knowing that everything's going to be all right. So sending this pile a lot of extra love right now, because I feel as though you're just asking for signs and answers and synchronicities. So throughout this reading, if you're noticing anything in particular that stands out from one of the cards or something I say, please take that as a direct sign. You'll notice it within your stomach, or maybe the way I say something. Maybe I will slip up later, I'm not sure. But that tends to be an indicator of some kind of a message for you. Maybe as well your spirit guide team has been trying to contact you about some things. However, you're not always able to get a clear reading or gauge on what's going on. For example, I kind of felt like just now as I was talking, I felt like the camera was going to fall down, and I was like, oh, it's like you anticipate something bad going to happen, but your spirit guide team is trying to say, hey, we have you. Your angels, your guardian protectors are watching out for you. And they just want you to know that you are safe by receiving this reading, as well as any messages going on in the future, especially if you have some spiritual or religious trauma that you're trying to work through. Okay. That was your vibe check. So what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to pull some cards and we're going to get straight into your message. Okay? So a lot of what I'm feeling today's reading for you is going to be about... So what I'm feeling a majority of your message today is going to be is about how to get through your current situation right now until you get to the place where you're for what you're manifesting. Now, what you're manifesting in particular, as I said from the vibe check, you're looking for that house on the hill and you're looking for the whole package deal, right? However, this reading isn't going to get you to that place just yet. I'm specifically going to be focusing my energy towards getting you through your situation currently right now that will still lead you onto the next path. It's like going from stage A to stage B, and the castle is stage E or F. But right now, you need to just displace yourself from this situation so even getting on a path. Maybe some of you guys are having a hard time committing to a path, or you're trying too hard to develop something that continues to keep you stagnant. All right, yeah, so right off the bat, I'm seeing this vampire or vampiric energy. You have a lot of growing up to do in terms of creating boundaries with other people, as well as this vampirism energy. Maybe you aren't used to saying no to others. Maybe you have a lack mindset, or you're just finding that your energy goes into places that it doesn't belong to. And you waste a lot of time either feeling concerned for people that either don't reciprocate, or it just turns into a money pit where you're either financially providing for someone that doesn't provide back to you, or you're not getting a return on your energy or money or time investments. So please be aware of that energy in your life and start to say no and focus on stopping losing your energy and your productivity, because right now I feel this is your biggest hindrance. And once you gain a stronger sense of self and sense of awareness for when these people enter your life, it's going to become a lot clearer to you when you're making a decision that no longer benefits you. And when it comes to either the work environment or a project that you're trying to achieve, it's just, I feel there's a lot of stagnation because of this sorts of thing. Because what'll happen is this person will come into your life, they'll send you in a tizzy, and then you waste a lot of time trying to regroup or trying to gain back what progress you did make. So stay calm and stay clear of these sorts of people, and set intentions also to stay protected from these folks as well. If you're not setting the intention or focusing on the positives, this energy has a really easy way to creep back into it. So we have this card here, which is, I believe it's called the Giver. I'm not entirely sure of the names of these specific cards, but as you can see, we have a gentleman who's providing for the animals around him. And this card in particular is primarily focused on giving back to nature, being connected with the outer world. Right now, as you are stuck and stagnant, you are losing track of the groundedness that comes from the earth and from nature. Being able to disconnect from human problems and just relax under a tree for a little bit. Nature is an important element for this particular group, and making sure you're recharging and spending time in the sunshine or with water, communing with trees, gardening, playing with animals or plants, whatever it is you need to do to connect to nature, this is heavily important for redirecting you back on the right direction. Especially if you live in a city or you're around lots of people all the time, being able to connect with your inner self is going to be super, super important. You have the leap of faith, okay? So the leap of faith is part of this process. Your spirit guides are letting you know that while taking a spiritual approach to life and trying to find balance between all these different areas, especially if you're looking to succeed and be part of a spiritual mindset, you have to understand that you need to redefine your definition of success and take the leap and do things that are unconventional. While there is a lot of information out there towards what would eventually make you successful, if you're finding one day that you're doing your normal routine and your spirit guides tell you that you need to do something, then listen to your spirit guides first. This group has, depending on your varying level of spiritual experience, there's still a bit of resistance and reluctance to follow those internal nudges, and you miss out on opportunities or shortcuts, I guess we could say, that would otherwise help you get to where you need to go faster or help you avoid a certain conflict or situation. Especially if you have a negative mindset, I'm seeing this vampire energy takes advantage of the fact that you don't listen to your intuition and you don't jump in. Specifically also too with this leap of faith, you need to make sure that you're not limiting yourself and judging yourself whenever you make mistakes for doing something new. So say, for example, you are trying to go out there and do something different. Maybe you want to wear a different hairstyle. Maybe you want to start talking different, or you're moving through life in a different way. If you judge yourself before you even start, that's going to really hinder your progress and stop you from completing the tasks you need in order to get where you need to go. Every person starts somewhere, and sometimes you're going to sound silly, sometimes you're going to sound unintelligent, and most importantly, you are going to have to get over the fact that you make mistakes. And making mistakes publicly is not going to be as bad for you, assuming that you are grounded and taking steps to continue to work through those mistakes. Nobody gets where they need to go without making a couple bumps on the road and hitting. Nobody gets where they need to go by avoiding bumps on the road, because ultimately you won't learn the skills to overcome them when you have more responsibility. So take charge of your life and continue to move forward at a fast pace, or a faster pace, because ultimately you can catch yourself. I don't know, some of you are reluctant to standing on your own or being considered an individual or trying to go above and beyond what is normally expected of you, and your spirit guide team is saying, hey, we gave you these skill sets for a reason. You can and will succeed and do better when you are allowing yourself to go with the flow rather than trying to hold yourself back because of self-judgment. So these two cards we have over here is compassion, and then we also have take a risk. All right, so see what I was saying when it came to that leap of faith here? In this image, we have the mountain goat. So what are mountain goats famous for, right? Despite the fact that they are obviously herbivores and they are on goats in general, when they are climbing mountains, they are known for being able to overcome challenges and being able to navigate rocky situations, if that makes any sense. They are able to stand on ledges and escape predators because they're able to navigate the rocky cliff face. And even if there's a tiny little ledge, they're able to stand on it. I feel like this group is very adaptable to their environments, and this is where that compassion is really going to be necessary as you get through this next state and this next stage. Right now, as you are trying to overcome your current circumstances, having compassion for yourself will help tremendously, because ultimately, even if right now there is no switch that is going to turn and ultimately change your issues right away. And so having compassion for yourself through the downtimes is going to significantly help you boost your way out of the situation, as well as give you that muscle memory of overcoming problems in your life. This risk taking in particular, where if you are noticing yourself maybe possibly taking unnecessary risks, this is obviously a sign to avoid that. But being able to be grounded in your risk taking is essentially where the sweet spot is. It's a risk by following a spiritual path and following your intuition, especially if you don't have a great sense of intuition or awareness yet. But at the same time, there's rewards that come with that. So the types of risk taking I was talking about earlier are predominantly getting into unhealthy relationships that you know are bad for you, things that would cause you to have a setback. Ultimately, having great discernment is going to be what's going to help you make these decisions of, is this worth my time or not? Is this battle something that I'm choosing to participate in, or something I can walk away from? And is it worth it? I feel also with this pile, there's a lot of small, minor decisions that are adding up to a bigger decision of ultimately, is your current path worth it? With that image I had earlier of that house on the hill and all this wealth and money, you're going to come down to a decision where you get to decide what success looks like. You get to decide ultimately what's going to get you there and how that fulfillment looks for you. And it's going to be different for everybody. Some people desire money because they haven't had it for so long that by the time they get it, they'll realize how much they've lost along the way. Or maybe when they get there, they'll be surprised at how that lifestyle no longer fits in alignment with what they were hoping and dreaming of. In any case, whatever your decision may be, having discernment and being grounded and ultimately listening to your body and working with your spirit guide team is going to guide you in the right steps. Anyways, everyone, thank you so much for your time and for watching my pick a card reading. If you liked the reading that I gave today, please like, subscribe, and follow me on my social medias, which you can find me at Mind Over Mania on Instagram and Facebook. You can also check out my website at www.mindovermania.com. If you would be interested in purchasing a personal reading from me, or if you're interested in learning how to develop your intuition yourself, feel free to reach out to me and request my services. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you all next time. Take care, bye! Hello, Pile 2. You have chosen the Pyrite Crab. And welcome to your reading. We're going to start off with a little vibe check to make sure that this is the right pile for you, and then we will get into your reading. Okay, so what I'm feeling off the bat with you, Pile 2, I feel like you've been through some things, but not quite as much as pile number 1. You are in the process of trying to make a difficult decision, though, and you're trying to choose between a rock and a hard place. There's a little bit of a heavier energy towards this pile, but it's more of an internal heaviness rather than an external heaviness, if that makes sense. I could definitely see this pile being the group that has stable financial situation, a great family system, or a lot of friends that can help them out, but internally, quietly, secretly, you're suffering through some things, and I feel like you're just trying to gain some clarity from these messages. So the card you got was the Sovereign, and then you have Ancestors. Okay, so for some of you, I feel like this Ancestors card represents ancestral trauma to a certain degree. Maybe you are the black sheep in the family. Maybe you've worked really hard and are very successful. However, you still are considered ostracized within your family, or you're doing something different, unconventional. Or maybe you had something that happened in your childhood and you are carrying a deeper wound that hasn't been resolved into further adulthood. This sovereign tells me that you are used to either being in charge or you have to let go of control. That's kind of depending on who's listening, but the sovereign tells me that this group tends to be very, very independent and struggles maybe with connecting with others or just with connection in general. I feel like this group can, I don't know, there's a variety to ages and messages within this group, so it's specifically hard to pinpoint. I'm seeing, or my eyes are getting drawn to the moon in both of these cards, where maybe there's a struggle with defined feminine energy as well. So maybe you have issues with a mother figure, a father who struggled with mother issues, but there's definitely some wounded feminine energy in here as well. I'm seeing also maybe potentially a lack of emotional intelligence, or at least emotional intelligence within yourself. You might be very well versed at reading other people's emotional situations or seeing what's going on in a room and knowing how to solve those, but within yourself, you're caught between a rock and a hard place half the time. You're not always sure if your feelings are correct, or you're trying to put labels onto your feelings instead of experiencing and expressing them. I definitely feel this pile does not talk to other people about their true, deeper, darker feelings, both the negative ones and even some of the deeper positive ones. If anybody in this group had a crush on somebody, this pile definitely would be the group to deny it till the day they die. Maybe not all of you, but definitely there's a certain amount of reluctance towards accepting yourself, both with maybe your sexuality. Maybe it has to do with, again, projections on to other people, not feeling good enough or worthy enough, or again, back to this negative female role model. You could also be, depending on it, maybe if you're a gentleman watching this reading as well, you might also struggle a little bit with toxic masculinity, or maybe some kind of a form of rejecting feminine things or not feeling it benefits your soul or yourself, and ultimately finding that you struggle connections with female relationships as well. That can be tied into these kinds of wounds. So whatever is going on with the maternal energy here, we can go ahead and explore that a bit more in the reading. Yeah, I feel like also there's a manifestation of toxicity that occurs in this group too. So maybe you are not inherently a toxic person, but I feel like some of you, take what resonates, but some of you have a tendency to attract certain types of negative female archetypes, if that makes any sense. Maybe there's like the controlling woman, the overly emotional, dysregulated woman, the woman who is clingy and doesn't know how to take care of herself, or there's just a female-bodied person in your sphere that's not necessarily fully straight or is struggling with their own relationship with masculinity in their life and not being able to enact a traditional gender norm that you're used to. And those relationships could have built a kind of wall around your relationship with healthy femininity, and it causes this sort of loop or cycle within your own emotional well-being. All right, well, I think that kind of was like a good summary of what's kind of going on with this pile and ultimately what this reading might be about. So let's go ahead and get some more messages for you, pile 2. Ooh. Yeah, I feel like you guys need to do a little bit of rejection therapy of some kind, or there's something that you're not facing that your emotions is blocking. There's just a lot of blockages in terms of your throat chakra. Even now, while I'm trying to speak, I'm having a difficult time understanding what I'm supposed to be saying, or I'm slowing down. I'm feeling like I'm having a hard time breathing, or I'm anxious. So some of you may have anxiety as well. When it comes to working through this inner battle or this inner emotional struggle, there needs to be more direct dialogue, both internally and then also externally. Talk therapy might be useful for this group. However, I feel like certain kinds of talk therapy isn't useful to you. I feel like you specifically need to be making sure that you are interacting and having healthy interactions with versions of yourself that have been shut down or shamed. I recommend internal family systems if you're not familiar with it, or shadow work. Specifically, the card that my eyes were drawn to first is this Pied Piper figure here, where all the children are getting led away. And I feel like this is your subconscious right now, where, for example, because you have a negative relationship with your emotions, your subconscious mind has a little, we'll call them a gremlin in it, that because you reject your true, authentic emotional state, this piece of you protects you from feeling those negative thoughts and emotions and leads you to be making poor decisions, having poor relationships, or ignoring red flags that you otherwise would have been able to catch if you were more in tune with your emotional state. So maybe, for example, you were shamed growing up for rejecting a parent. So maybe a parent wasn't particularly healthy or didn't have good boundaries. And so we'll say a mother figure. And whenever you were not allowed to say no to her affection, or not allowed to say yes to something that you wanted to do, there was a gap or rejection type of relationship there. And then ultimately the parent kind of caused this little gremlin to develop, where you developed shame for saying no for something that was important to you, or for your own sense of autonomy. So when you start to reject that own sense of shame and abandonment and ignore it, that's when it becomes a problem, especially with your romantic relationships. And specifically with your relationships with women as well. Women are emotionally intelligent and are very sensitive to the energies that people bring forward. So if you're not working actively on this Pied Piper relationship, you might find yourself sabotaging in front of those girls or women. I feel specifically with younger women, depending on the age group of this pile as well, there is a little bit of a reluctance or maybe a shame in relationship to younger women as well. Maybe not knowing how to handle them because of their emotional volatility, or maybe just having some rejection trauma from the past in your youth. We have the Messenger card here. So I feel like the universe has been trying to send you some messages in terms of specifically your love life. Okay. Maybe you've been going down a dark path lately, or maybe not necessarily a dark path, but you're finding yourself having a difficult relationship and having difficult boundaries within yourself. So when I was saying before, yes, you're financially well off, or you're stable and steady in your career, you're noticing your mind kind of wandering into negative places, or you're abandoning yourself in certain social situations. This is a message from your spirit guide team to say, please listen whenever you're noticing yourself either check out or feel uncomfortable in a social situation, regardless of if it's a parent figure, a family member, a friend, or especially a spouse or loved one. You need to be checking yourself to make sure that you're regulating. Otherwise, you will miss important messages towards the toxicity that's going on around you. Specifically as well, some of you guys also need to learn how to better communicate with the people in your inner circle as well as within yourself. Part of that communication issue is boundaries, where you're not sure how to appropriately have conversations with folks, especially that are more intelligent or emotionally intelligent than you. I don't know if with this group, if sometimes you get intimidated by smart people, or there's kind of a lack mindset where you feel like you're not good enough for the people you're supposed to be hanging around, and your spirit guide team is saying, stop it. You are intentionally sabotaging this because you are supposed to fit into those groups. Those social circles will welcome you, but they won't welcome you if you are rejecting the pieces of yourself that ultimately fit those groups. So timing will play a factor. So if you've been trying to manifest either a new job, a new friend circle, or maybe just a different way of handling your inner thoughts, those pieces of you will be coming together very soon. You just have to be listening and actively participating in that listening process. So, all right, this is like oddly specific, but maybe, for example, you are having inner conversations, but you're not acting or doing upon and fully listening in those interactions. So say, for example, there's a piece of you that says, hey, I really don't like wearing clothes made from this type of material. Maybe you really don't like fleece, okay? And so your spirit guide team says, hey, let's take you to a clothing store and you can get yourself all new clothes. Well, you go to the clothing store and you still buy fleece because it's what it would look good for what you'd wear to work. It feels right because of the economic conditions going on, or maybe the weather and whatnot. You have all these different excuses of why you need to buy the fleece sweater, even though everything in your life is telling you, I hate fleece. You have to start actually acting on the inner voice telling you something. Otherwise, you're just hearing, you're not listening, and you're not engaging in that. So there's a little bit of a backtracking that happens with this group because of the fact that you repeat yourself over and over internally, and you're not doing the things that your body actually needs and wants, and what you actually need and want and desire. This could also be part of that rejection where you weren't allowed to have an identity outside of someone else. Okay, I'm gonna botch her name, but this card is called Minasini. I think that's her name, but she's the goddess of memory. And yeah, I kind of feel like this group also struggles with that inner persona battle, like the inner night and the inner day. Maybe you guys switch between two different personalities. Maybe you're feeling very split and torn right now because of the standpoint that you are, in general, having access to great options. You have the ability to move around and do the things you want to do, but you're still rejecting yourself, or you're still very sensitive. Keep in mind to hold space and take your sensitivities into account whenever you're making decisions, because ignoring those sensitivities is what's going to make this a very hard time in the long term. So say, for example, when it came to the fleece example, right? Fleece can be very scratchy and woolly depending on the type of outfit you buy. And so if you force yourself to wear the fleece uniform to work all the time, you are going to be significantly less happy at work. You are going to be paying attention to your skin the whole time. That's going to throw you off your game. And maybe for some of you guys, you have a harder time being yourself externally. There might be a little bit of an inner struggle here. It's almost like when I was talking and used the example of the fleece and the work example, I had a piece of my brain go, oh my gosh, you don't need to explain that. You don't need to over-explain. And there's just maybe an inner critic that needs to be talked through and rejected a little bit, because ultimately this little regulating voice inside of your head isn't very productive and isn't an accurate reflection of who you are. I feel like it's just the ghost of a memory of toxic people from your past. And what you're going to find as you get older, more and more people are going to give less of a crap about what you look like and what you're doing with your life. Obviously, we need to have certain set of boundaries and rules to be accepted in society. However, for this pile, it's gotten to a point where it's not productive. Like I said, if I'm sitting here giving a reading to somebody and I'm already having a negative critic hop in and tell me how to do my reading when I've been doing this and this is a message specifically for y'all, then that tells me that there's something going on in this field where you need to create better boundaries around your haters and around your self-worth, so that way this Pied Piper energy doesn't happen. So say you listen to that inner critic, then you're going to be following the Pied Piper that's going to take you down a path that is more rejection, more self-loathing. It's like trying to fit in with the wrong crowd. It's like, okay, if you're not a jock, then stop hanging out with the sports crowd. You can still hang out with them at the bar if you like those friends, but ultimately, if you are rejecting your emotional state when you're around them, then yeah, you're going to feel really drained and tired. Finally, this card is, I forget what the name is, but it's Be Free is what I'm feeling. There's definitely a lot of limitations that need to be set free and basically go live a life that is a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more reclusive. For some of you guys, maybe you're going to be changing lifestyles where you're going to be on the move a bit more. You're not going to be so steady in your income, but you are going to be moving in a more flow state within yourself. Or maybe, for example, you're just going to be letting your hair down and not putting it back up again. Like, I feel like there's like a piece of this group that really needs to force themselves to relax. Like, I don't normally say force, but there's a lot of like, I have to force myself to do this, I have to force myself to do that, and ultimately there's a limit to how much that forcing energy can actually get you through life. Especially like, so for example, I'm seeing her, she's like barefoot on this bird, and I'm seeing that, you know, obviously we should wear shoes to protect our feet, but if you don't have to wear shoes, then don't wear shoes. Don't reject your body's ability to connect with the world and connect with yourself, despite what may be overtly conventional. Also, too, with this crane, I don't know if the, what's that star constellation? I'm feeling, what is the Great Swan constellation? I don't know. I forget. But essentially, I'm feeling, maybe some of you guys like stargazing or astrology. However, I feel like you're really needing to actually like spread your wings and fully go out into the world. Not limit yourself and be able to just get up and go whenever you need to. That ability to have freedom in your life will be so beneficial to this group and really help you with this inner gremlin. You know, cut loose and stop worrying about what other people think and feel, okay? Worry about your own and you'll take care of you. Anyway, y'all, thank you so much for stopping by and watching this reading. If you enjoyed this pick a group reading, please like, subscribe on my channel. Also, check out my other social medias. I'm on Facebook and Instagram under Mind Over Mania, and you can also try to book me at www.mindovermania.com. I have a blog, and there's a bunch of other interesting information as well that you can learn about me. If you are interested in a personal reading or in intuitive consulting or learning to develop your intuition, I'm there as well. Anyways, thank you guys so much. Take care. I'll see you around. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody. You have chosen Group 3 with the Obsidian Crow. We're going to go ahead and start the reading off with a vibe check to make sure that this is the right pile for you. If it doesn't resonate with you, maybe select another pile, or maybe this is not the right video for you. In any case, I hope you gain something out of it. So right off the bat, the energy I've been sensing for this group is, this is a group that's very like sensitive or very sensory oriented. I noticed that both whenever I went to go get a glass of water in between cards and whenever I sat down, I'm like smelling things. I feel like this pile is very into coziness, being able to feel safe and warm. I'm kind of feeling like a soft baby rabbit feeling. Ironically, I won't lie, I thought that this group was going to be a little bit more like, I don't know, goth vibe, and instead this is like a very soft, cozy energy. So maybe y'all find yourself getting misjudged a lot for being more outspoken or maybe crass, or I don't know. I just feel like this group gets judged when really you're all sweet and soft and fluffy under the surface. Aw, you guys are cute. Okay, so we've got take risk. And then we have play. It was initially reversed, but I felt like it needed to be upright. So in particular, this group loves to have fun. And I feel like this group is silly in certain ways. Maybe you guys like to make fun of things or look at memes or watch funny videos. I see you guys, maybe you watch a lot of YouTube for sure. This group definitely knows how to party, or at least tries. I don't know what that means. Maybe some of you guys are very introverted, or you're extroverted but socially unaware, or maybe sometimes you have like a lack of boundaries at times, or maybe you just talk a little too loud or a little too soft, or I don't know. It's always the perfectionistic people that give you crap for it, but everyone else thinks you're adorable, and maybe that pisses people off in your circle. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you guys are just very quirky. Maybe you have a unique sense of style or expression. I don't know. I feel like maybe in terms of like clothing, you do blend in, but it's not enough that you don't stand out. I don't know, very whimsical vibes. Or people anticipate something from you and you either exceed exponentially their expectation or they shut you out because they can't handle you. I feel like this group kind of, probably when they were younger, not so much the more older folks, but I feel like you guys got rejected a lot for random things and you didn't know why. And then, you know, maybe you found out you're autistic, or maybe you found out you're neurodivergent, or maybe you're just artsy and crafty and different and in a good way, you know? I feel like with this play card, even though you are going through life and navigating things, you know how to keep things light and you have a very warm energy to you. And I feel like if the spotlight was on you, you make people feel very comfortable. That is such a cute energy to have. Oh my gosh, like this pile is the pile that I would put on, like if I was watching like a YouTube channel featuring this pile, I would put you on in the background and listen to lo-fi and just sit and listen to this person talk, just because you want to be around them. You want to have access to this group's energy. And that's kind of the vibe that you're giving off. In terms of take risk, I do feel like this group, I don't want to say y'all are risk takers, or you wouldn't define yourself as that, but I do think you guys step against the grain, which to some people would be considered risky. So when I'm looking at this card, I'm noticing all the jewelry on the goat. And I feel like your appearance, or for example, maybe you have really good taste in jewelry or refinement. Like I said, with that cozy vibe, right? Like you know how to extract the good things out of life and then keep it for yourself. So your sense of worth or self-worth seems to be pretty good. You like feeling good. You like making others feeling good, and then being able to curate experiences within your life that are maybe creating more beauty in the world. Maybe you're a designer, or maybe you are artistic and like making things look pretty, or in your own way, you make things better. It's kind of like, say, for example, you are going into a place that people don't normally put much thought into, or they think it's worthless, and then you come in and you make it 5 times better than what it was before. You guys have that magic touch and magic energy that you bring to a space that you come into. Okay, anyways, that was the vibe check. Let's get into some messages to see what your spirit guide team and the universe, whoever you follow, has to say. I feel like with this group in particular, you guys, maybe you practice different kinds of spirituality. Some of you might be into witchcraft, but then some of you might be more traditionally, like, I feel like you're in the closet about something, though. So maybe, for example, you're a Christian, but you do watch tarot readers, or maybe you don't follow a particular path, but tarot reading is something you've always felt drawn to. Or maybe you just like this reader in particular. So there's something also, too, in this group. The message is you gotta let go of someone. And I think you're having a hard time with that. Maybe there was a person that hurt you in the past, like an ex-boyfriend. Or maybe there's like, this is kind of random, it's like a stalker type energy where, like, I'm not saying that you necessarily have a stalker. However, I feel like there's this type of haunting energy around you where even though that person is out of your life, this person floats around your mind a lot. Or maybe, you know, their parents check in on you, maybe they're friends, or you've got mutual friends and they talk about them a lot, or you see their face on social media. It kind of feels like this, I can't get away from you. And this is kind of random, because normally I don't talk about this, but I wonder too if you might be affected by some kind of a sexual manifestation from this person as well, especially if it was like a past partner where maybe they are trying to manifest you back because they want to have relations with you. I'm definitely feeling there's like sexual energy as well tied to this. And since you are a creative person and you are energetically still attached to this person, that may be affecting your creativity as well. You may be noticing that you lack boundaries in certain areas of your sex life or maybe your sexual health. Yeah, or I feel like sometimes you guys get really overwhelmed with sexual potency. That's like a specific message for somebody. I don't know. It's kind of like I feel as though this pile doesn't. I don't want to say this is weird because I was hearing like, oh, they don't know when to grow up and grow out of this situation. And it's not that you're not adult-like, it's more so this situation comes up frequently and you're still sort of playing things safe. You're not reaching out and trying to expand, or you're not closing the doors you're supposed to. So you're staying stagnant in this like lurker energy. Maybe you are the lurker and maybe this relationship has been dead and gone for a while and you're continuing to bring this past energy up. You're continuing to watch pick a card readings about this person hoping they're going to pop up when they're not supposed to be in your life at all. You're supposed to be on your own journey, but like by you sitting there and fixating on this person from your past, it's preventing you from going forward. You've got the power card here, and this has a lot to do with personal empowerment. And your spirit guide team is trying to remind you of your own boundaries and your own might. Okay, when I say might, okay, I think of a king, right? And being able to say, hey, you know what? I am the king. I am the last person to make the decision. That decision is mine and mine alone. So when you decide that you are done with this sort of pattern and behavior, then it's actually going to be over. I don't know if you're just not willing to change or you're not feeling confident enough to get out of this energy yet, but your spirit guides are trying to allude to the fact that you need to take a stand against this potency energy and getting more grounded. Maybe some of you guys need to get into shape, like maybe use working out as a distraction or find something to do with your time that gives you a better relationship with this kind of sexual potency. Maybe it's dancing, maybe it's self-expression, music, whatever you gotta do, but there needs to be a release of some kind. So you have, for these other cards, you have the Six of Wands, the King of Cups in reverse, and then the Five of Wands in reverse. Yeah, so that King of Cups in reverse, I'm definitely seeing that. I feel that represents either a past lover or whoever represents this masculine, I'm assuming. Maybe, actually, I wouldn't even say it's necessarily masculine, but for a lot of you, I think it does apply to a guy, an ex-partner, but it could also apply to a paternal person as well in your life that lacked emotional boundaries or didn't stand up for himself. I'm also seeing the lack of ability to discern when it's time to get out and to close the door. So that playful energy that I was feeling before kind of backfires, because in this case, it can lead to immature decision making that keeps you stuck in places that you've outgrown. I definitely see a reluctance to kind of grow up or grow into where you're supposed to go to. And your spirit guide team is trying to reassure you that just because you are growing into a new version of yourself does not mean that you have to give up on certain like art practices. So say, for example, maybe you're like, oh, but I love watching anime. It's like, well, yeah, you can still watch anime. You can still, do coloring books. You can still do those things that bring your heart joy. You just have to stop the self-abandonment and take charge of your situation and the responsibilities you have as an adult. And maturing means understanding that like you are not a child anymore. You can have playfulness and you can have a lot of energy, but you also have boundaries in terms of how that energy is used, how you represent yourself, and how you talk to others. Especially if there's like emotionally this disconnect or like with discarding others. I feel like sometimes this group can get into the headspace of he's either mine or he's nobody at all's, or, oh, he doesn't like me because he doesn't do XYZ, so I'm just going to ignore him and consider him not an option. When really, he could be the love of your life if you just slowed down and started doing things for yourself and taking care of the stuff that you said you would. You might have some commitment issues as well because of this reluctance to narrow things down because of chasing and pursuing an ideal. Yeah, and then some of this whimsical energy as well. It's beneficial to you because it allows you to escape. And your spirit guide team's trying to say, wait, hold up. I can be a whimsical and practical person. I don't have to give up on my sense of style, my sense of individuality, just to conform to other people. So maybe finding role models that don't quite fit the social norm would be beneficial to this group. So maybe looking at celebrities. Suddenly I was thinking of like Selena Gomez. I don't think she's conventional, but maybe I'm thinking of like Witches of Waverly Place. You know, regardless of how that ties in there, basically trying to find ways of saying, hey, I can be a witchy person, I can be whimsical, I can be artsy, I can be whoever I want to be. However, I also have to maintain boundaries, and I'm responsible for how I show up in relationships. I'm not going to baby talk anybody, I'm not going to baby talk myself or infantilize the people that don't show up for me in my life. And I'm also not going to get trapped because I dealt with a narcissist in the past. I feel like some of you guys are susceptible to certain kinds of negative energy simply because you like to pretend you're innocent, or there's an innocence about you that you are actively avoiding protecting. And I think that's why you get hung up on these partners or this romantic idealism that doesn't really suit you. I'm not saying you can't have your cake. I'm just saying that you have to make the cake first before you can celebrate it with somebody else. Okay? So, yeah, and I feel like this group, it's like, but I'm cute, you can't hurt me, or like, oh, you know, we don't like to talk about that sort of talk, or there's some kind of like there's like a divergence, you know, where you have this like cutesy persona, or there's some kind of like an energy where you're like, well, this makes me feel good, so I'm gonna stay comfortable in this space. And when I'm in an uncomfortable space, then I completely shut down, or I refuse to go back to what I was doing before because it's like a hot or cold thing. Just make sure that you are allowing change in your life and setting boundaries within yourself, so that way you understand that coziness and warmth is part of your personality. It's something that you enjoy, but comfort is not meant to protect you. Okay? Comfort is meant to be a enjoyment of life. But we all will face uncomfortable things sometimes. And so creating those boundaries within yourself to say, hey, I know that, you know, in order to be an adult and to maintain the comfortable lifestyle I have to make some difficult decisions. I've got to go to work. I've got to make those phone calls. I've got to get out of bed. And I also have to tell people how I feel, so that way I can regulate my own emotions and not try to hide and do it myself. Yeah, some of you guys could also benefit from massage. I feel like you're very touch oriented. So if you're getting stressed out or finding yourself going into mental states that you can't control, go take a warm bath. Go somewhere private and try to just get back into that coziness, right? Because I think that finding the balance for you between comfort and reality, I think would be really, really important. Yeah, and I do feel, just to reassure some of you, you will find a partner eventually. You will find someone that matches your energy and will provide this comfortable lifestyle for you. You just need to get more grounded and stable before you can reach out to this person, or before this person reaches out to you. I feel like for some of you, they're like kind of watching and waiting to see, hey, is this person like emotionally available now? Are they mature enough to kind of handle some bigger adult life decisions? Like buying a house or committing to a marriage, you know. There's a little bit of reluctance here for that, but keep going, guys. I feel like this is a really great pile, and you know what you're doing. Just understand that, you know, you are protected and safe throughout this whole journey, and you're loved very, very much. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this reading. If you enjoyed it today, please consider booking a private reading with myself. I also help you develop your intuition. If you're interested in that, check me out at www.mindovermania.com. Please like and subscribe to this YouTube channel, or follow me on Facebook or Instagram on the social medias to figure out more events that I'm going to be doing up in the future. So, anyways, thank you so much. See you later. Bye-bye. Hello, everyone. You have chosen group 4, which is the garnet and whatever the heck it's called. Apostrophelite crystal. I don't know. I'm struggle busing with that today. And this is going to be your reading. We're going to start the reading off with a quick vibe check to make sure that this is the pile for you, and then we're going to go ahead and get into the reading. I'm not going to lie with y'all. Since picking these different objects to represent the groups, I knew that this was going to be the twin flame pile. Because immediately, so with these 2 rabbits, I was supposed to find a elephant that I had, and you've probably seen it on previous readings if you watch my channel, and I couldn't find it, and so I had bought these 2 twin rabbits, and this one was the one that I decided to replace the elephant with, and immediately I was like, oh no, this is going to be one of those twin flame readings, isn't it? Where we got the 2 little opposite bunnies working together. So for those of you that obviously know about the twin flame journey and whatnot, I don't feel like I need to explain it, but for those of you that are not familiar, twin flames are essentially one soul that is split into 2 different individuals. There's a lot of mirroring that goes on in these journeys. They're meant to be very spiritually developmental, and you may just find, at least in this pile, a matching of energies or a mirroring back and forth between you and another person. There's a lot of rapid growth and change, and sometimes it can be very emotional, but they also can be very sexually charged and very just tumultuous experiences. So anyways, now that I got that out of the way, let's go ahead and get your vibe check. Yeah, gosh, wow, this group, there's just so much energy here. Maybe some of you guys are very hyperactive, very sexually charged. Rabbit is probably a really great animal to represent this group, because you guys are going and going and going. I feel like this group, regardless of if you're the runner or the chaser, there's definitely a lot of running around going on, where it's maybe you're chasing a particular person, you're chasing a path. It feels like you guys are constantly running towards something. You don't just walk, you run, you bolt. You're going right through the door and not looking back. Which causes you conflicts at time, but also that's what sets you apart from other people, because when you do something, you fly through things, you move forward. Sometimes it's a little reckless too, if I'm being honest. So please make sure that you slow down whenever you're feeling your body needing to take a time out, and also just allowing your body to emotionally regulate itself, especially if you're in a twin flame journey. Remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. You are not going to achieve union with your twin flame overnight or even within a year or 2. You're in it for the long haul. And with whatever's going on in your twin's life or this other person's life, I'm feeling like the relationship with the masculine energy is just very messy right now for this pile. So keep that in mind whenever you're trying to manifest a partner or partnerships in general, because I feel like regardless of if you're straight or not, whether you're trying to date men or not, regardless, there is a relationship with the world outside where things can get a little chaotic. So the cards you guys got were the underworld. You got like these hands here with like all of the ropes and strings tied. And then we have Get Curious. Yeah, I feel like somebody is getting curious about you, or more and more curious. I don't know if you've been having psychic dreams about a person, or maybe you are getting curious about yourself more authentically. I'm looking at the dove in this card, and there's definitely this energy of taking flight. So as you begin to grow and expand and come into being within yourself, I feel like you're going to gradually gain the attraction of another person. Maybe multiple people, but specifically if you're pursuing the twin flame label or title or journey. I don't know. I don't think we actually ever choose this journey, but we just end up there. But you're going to slowly be attracting this person because they're going to be coming forward and be like, hey, you know that thing you said like about like 3 years ago when we were talking outside of that one place? Yeah, I actually kind of forgot about that, and then now I suddenly remember at this specific moment in time. I don't know, there's just like definitely this energy of being open to the universe and not reflecting on it. I don't know, maybe this group kind of overthinks, but I feel like you need to start just experiencing things rather than reflecting on them and putting so much thought and mental energy into stuff. And I think that will help you with being curious about life again. Some of you guys feel like you either own the world or know how the world runs, and then you're going to meet this person. It's going to completely blow your mind. You're going to go, what? I didn't know that was how she or he thinks. I didn't know that she watches tarot card readings and blah, 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 blah. It's this weird vibe of you've been kind of closed off on a couple different like life paths or something, and you just don't know what to say when you finally meet your other half, I guess. So, and then on this underworld, I feel like a lot of you guys, this is definitely a spiritual group, and if not, you guys are just not very in tune or closely aware of how spiritual you actually are. Maybe it's because you don't like the new age definition of spirituality. I feel kind of called to say this, and this may piss off some people that are watching this, but there is a lot of spiritual ties between the relationship between logic and linear and scientific thinking. It's just basically taking the same energy and looking at it through a different lens. So for a bunch of you, I feel as though you don't need crystals or tarot readings or, I don't know, specific guidance in order to feel drawn or called towards something, and then finding out, oh, we have all these things in common, right? I feel like some of this group does have a bit of reluctance and ego in relationship to different spiritual practices because of just internal shame and judgment. And then also this underworld card implies dealing with like the dark side of things. So again, there might be some kind of lack of clarity when it comes to spirituality or in terms of like union with this person. Maybe you're even just watching this reading to see if you are going to ever reconcile or be in union with this person, which, spoiler, yes, you probably will. But it also depends on your relationship at the time of this reading, so keep that in mind. Anyways, I feel like I was just talking for hours, even though it was only 5 minutes. But we're going to go ahead and get into the actual reading. Yeah, I feel like with this pile, there's just some heavy hitter spiritual energy where maybe you guys lose track of time a lot. Or maybe with a certain person, it's just like time doesn't exist. Some of you guys need to drink more water too. I feel like you need to like flush out some crap in your system. Or maybe take some supplements to replenish the brain cells that you lost dealing with this bullshit in the world. Oh, maybe some of you are nihilistic. Ooh. Ooh. Yes. Yeah, some of you guys would probably benefit from getting in touch with your body. I mean, I'm immediately feeling like my hand rubbing my belly, and I feel like it's almost like there's like a core wound of just self-esteem issues or just needing your core to get stronger in order to attract the things in life that you want. And also this person. I don't know. Some of you guys are really focused on a person, and it's kind of distracting. Like, like I'm not gonna lie, like I'm sitting here trying to do this reading, and I'm like, okay, like what are like the messages that this pile genuinely needs to hear right now? And I'm just like, oh yeah, blah blah blah, the sun, the trees, and oh my god, that person's hot. Like, like maybe you guys are just like if there is a person in your life that you are definitely just obsessing over or just so drawn to it's not even funny, that is also a sign that it's probably a twin flame, because the intensity is different than any other spiritual or psychic connection. And so it can kind of cause this if you don't have boundaries and balance within yourself. Okay, yeah, let's... Okay, so I don't know. Well, so first of all, I know I just said that, but like my spirit guides, when I turned this temperance over, immediately was like, don't message them. Like just at the moment in time of this reading, do not reach out to that person that you are intensely having feeling towards. Some of y'all, this might be the wrong pile, and some of y'all, even if it is the right pile for you and this is your right person, don't bombard their energy. This is already overwhelming enough for them, and I feel like by you pulling away, it's going to make this connection be easier on that person, because they need time to figure themselves out and also understand what the heck is going on. Because I feel like your person is somebody who is very private, has reached a level of either notoriety or reached a level of, I don't know, there's just something like they feel very intruded upon by this other person's energy. And so when you show up, like, you lose control or you lack boundaries around this person, and that kind of turns them off in a way, or turns them away. And so you need to be able to rise up in the situation that you're in, so that way you can navigate these heavy emotions. With temperance in reverse, there's definitely a lack of balance within this relationship. So you see like this tiger lady with the cups and whatnot. Yeah, it's kind of like you're trying to pour from more than one cup into a relationship, or not having boundaries in terms of your own energy. I think a lot of it's just because it's so intense. I feel like some of you guys, maybe you are definitely just high energy, moving around, performers, definitely musicians, definitely people that are well known or have big forward facing energy. And I feel like sometimes you guys lack discernment as well, because of the fact that you have so much energy to give or to put into certain situations. It's almost like I see you guys running around and doing things and not always putting your best foot forward. I'm not gonna lie, I think it's kind of like you're so used to getting your way, or you're used to navigating through situations, that when you're faced with something that you can't handle and there's not someone to rescue you, you kind of fall for a moment. This King of Wands in reverse, this energy is all about commitment issues, having too much energy and not enough follow through, or maybe a lack mindset. Maybe there is an energy of, I don't know where to go right now, I just need to go and go be free. And then you find yourself sitting in the parking lot, and then you're like, damn it. So then you go home. Your spirit guide team is trying to say, try to find more productive ways of utilizing this energy. I know that sometimes these bursts are fleeting. However, like that fire, that passion, you need to ignite it in other things, especially other than this relationship. Oh my gosh. I literally like picked up this rabbit, and I was just feeling like, oh my gosh, she's so hot. Like, like it's literally like, it's almost like maybe some of this group has a relationship with sex that is unhealthy, and that does get in the way of this twin flame relationship, because of not knowing when to say, I don't want sex, I just have extra energy to not find a place to put. Like, I don't know, I'm afraid of touching this rabbit now. Jesus, guys. Calm yourself. Calm yourself. So great alternative ways to work with this kind of energy is obviously exercising, dancing, creating things. And I feel like for something with this group, you guys are really great with patterns. So maybe there's a certain kind of music you need to make that helps like scratch the itch. So maybe like more like techno or repetitive stuff. Being able to just kind of move and groove. Those are some excellent ways to utilize that energy, so you are moving within your body. Yeah, I'm just seeing just finding healthy releases and also control. So Kundalini yoga might be beneficial to some of you, but also just like not staying still when you're in this headspace. Okay, like you don't have to be like running around, but definitely making sure that you are letting off some steam and saying, hey guys, I know I'm at work right now, but ADHD says it's go time and I got the zoomies, so we're gonna go over here. Some of you maybe even take medication for this. However, your spirit guide team's saying have a little allowance with that, and don't like if you are like that ADHD kid that's used to like running around and stuff, please give yourself as an adult the opportunity to go do that shamelessly, because your body was built for this, and trying to stop yourself from acting in a natural way is unnatural to you just because it's unnatural to everyone else, right? Then we also have the Ace of Wands in reverse as well. This card is just kind of articulating more about this overarching theme in your life of not being in control. So there's definitely a lack of boundary. Oh my gosh, it's just all this heat. So much energy, and maybe you guys also conflict with a lot of other people as well. Maybe you're a bit controversial, hot-headed, or not knowing when to let something go. I'm seeing like that this animal right here with the jaws. I'm seeing that this group can sometimes really like hold on so tightly and not let go, and be stubborn to a degree that you can't even. You're reluctant to face reality. So say it's like an alligator biting something that will eventually, cause it to get caught in a trap. Like, you would let yourself get caught in the trap just that way you don't have to let go. So really just finding some balance in your energies and trying to ask yourself, like, why are you so desperately, intensely attached to having control over things? Like, what is causing that fear or rejection of the passive balanced state? I'm going to pull another card to figure out how can these guys get into balance, please, Spirit. Ask body. Yeah, so a lot of this has to do with a better relationship with your body. Because this group has a lot of energy, if you don't work out, you better be working out tomorrow. Because even with this group, I'd say even maybe a normal workout would not be beneficial. Again, working out with like your abs or your core and legs, I think would definitely be helpful. And then anything that activates your sacral chakra. Some of you guys might have an overactive sacral chakra as well. So that would be beneficial as well. Also, if you're on the road too, I think sometimes you guys get a little lonely and restless. And so that's like when you really mess up in terms of your discipline. So keep that in mind so that way you can create some groundedness when you travel. Okay, so this card is Menasani. She is the goddess of memory. And so, yeah, like by day and night, trying to find... Okay, so I'm feeling... This has to do with your ego, right? And learning to manage the hot and the cold, but also just the different versions of you, right? Where it's like you have a daytime and a nighttime version of you. And neither one is bad. It's just accepting that you are two in one. And finding that works together, and it doesn't work for everybody else outside of you. Somebody needed to hear that, but it's like you are perfectly fine and integrated on your own. It's just that when you're met with people outside of you is when you feel off kilter or out of balance, because you are internally way more balanced in your natural state than other people. So I don't remember the exact name of this card, but I called it Guardian Angel at the beginning of this reading, which is super ironic too, because this card was in pile 1, which I said that was like, if you want to learn more about your significant other, twin flame people, that pile might have some messages for you as well. But yeah, maybe working with your victim energy and being able to say, hey, I don't always have to be on top and in charge of everything. I can also just say, hey, you know what? Not my circus, not my monkeys. For some reason, I need to read this card as well before I wrap up your reading, guys. Sorry, you're going to get a little bonus round from me because I'm just personally curious as to what the dealio is. Alright, yeah, so this card is just called the Angel. The theme summary is the truth, the divine spark, wisdom, intuition, the dream, the illusion. And so this has like 3 different versions of the card depending on where it's placed. But I'm going to read all 3 to you. So This card is representing the problem. Says, you have lost your way. Your view of truth has become clouded by illusions. Ow. No. All right. Here we go. Everybody hold on to your butts. You hide from yourself and fall for your own tricks. Wow, I'm getting personally attacked here. I'm sorry, guys. You try to repress and avoid problems. You shy away from facing reality. You are nowhere near solving the problem, and there is still a long way to go before you begin to deal with it. Okay, I'm gonna say right now, you need to watch Pile 1. Just after this, if you watch this the whole way through, go watch Pile 1 after this, because this basically describes what was going on in Pile 1. The way through the problem is you need to take the word release quite literally. Release yourself from the outer world, be more contemplative, and look within yourself. Your problem has no bearing in the world outside. You can only look more closely at yourself. Then finally, the outcome is, at first, you don't recognize the end of your journey as it is invisible in the outer world, but the star of a learned truth will illuminate within your soul. Yeah, and all of that makes sense because, so for example, with the twin flame journey, I like to remind everybody that your twin flame is a reflection of you. They are you. So if you are not working on yourself, you will not achieve union within yourself because your flame is yourself. So focusing on the external and trying to chase after that other person negates the purpose of the journey. And while you may go through that phase, ultimately you just end up coming back to yourself anyway. So there's no sense in fighting it and pursuing a dying relationship or a relationship that's not moving in the direction towards where you need to go. And then your flame's gonna pop right back up like a few years later. And then you're gonna go, hey, yeah, remember all that spiritual stuff you were looking into a couple years back? And now here we are. We're both famous, and we're both intensely interested in each other, but we cannot have one another because we are doomed lovers according to the arts and the ways of the fates. I don't know. I feel like this group is kind of dramatic and a little over the top. I'm not gonna lie. Or maybe this energy just gets me in that mood. Anyways, though, thank you so much for putting up with this reading and my shenanigans throughout it. Thank you so much for your time and energy. If you are interested in a personal reading or if you'd like to learn more about how to develop your intuition, please check out my website at www.mindovermania.com and you can book me on there. Please like and follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. I do have social media on Instagram and Facebook as well. And I'm also on Twitch, so you can catch me doing live streams there. Thank you so much for your time, and I will see you next time. Peace out, guys.